There's a stretch of forest just outside of town that no one dares enter after dark. The locals call it the Whispering Woods, though no one can quite agree on why. Some say it's because the trees themselves seem to murmur in the wind, even when there's no breeze. Others believe it's because, if you listen closely, you can hear voices calling your name from the shadows. One autumn evening, a group of teenagers, Sarah, Mark, and Jake, decided to test the legend. They had heard the stories all their lives, but never believed them. Armed with flashlights and a single phone for recording, they set out past the rusted, "No trespassing" sign and into the darkened woods. At first, everything seemed normal. The trees stood silent, and the only sounds were their own footsteps crunching through the fallen leaves. But as they ventured deeper, Sarah stopped abruptly. "Did you hear that?" she whispered. The others listened. At first, nothing. Then, softly, almost imperceptibly, a voice. A whisper. It was so faint they couldn't tell where it was coming from, but it sounded close. "Turn back." Mark shined his flashlight in all directions, but the trees cast long, tangled shadows, making it impossible to see. "It's probably just the wind," Jake said, forcing a laugh. "Come on." They pressed on, but with each step, the whispers grew louder. More voices joined in, overlapping in a frantic, breathless chorus. Some pleaded, some laughed, and some only breathed. Then the flashlight flickered. Mark smacked it against his palm, and for a brief second, as the beam flashed back to life, they saw something standing between the trees. Not a person, not an animal. A shape, tall, distorted, its limbs too long, its head tilted unnaturally to the side. The whispers stopped. The thing moved. Sarah screamed, and the flashlight went out completely. In the pitch blackness, they ran. The whispers turned to shrieks, filling the air with an unbearable sound that drilled into their ears. The ground seemed to shift beneath them as if the forest itself was alive, trying to swallow them whole. Then, suddenly, silence. They burst out of the trees and onto the road, gasping for breath. The town lights twinkled in the distance, safe and familiar. No one spoke the whole way back. They just kept walking, trying to convince themselves it was all in their heads. But when Sarah finally pulled out her phone to check the recording, her hands started to shake. There was no video, just a single audio file. She pressed play. Through the static, a voice whispered, "You shouldn't have run."